I'd now like to call upon Ms. Rakhi Basu, Transport Specialist, World Bank. Her topic of presentation today will be a smart way to govern.
Good morning, everybody. Can you hear me? I don't need a laptop because I think I'm one of the few outliers in this group today who is not a data scientist. I don't deal with algorithms. So it was very fascinating to hear about neural networks and your presentation. So what am I doing here? I'm a policymaker, and our interest in data is from two folds. One is the World Bank generates a large amount of data as a part of the lending program that we have in countries. So it's always of interest to understand macro data trends. The second is we are also users of data. And what we are interested in always is how do we make this data useful so that government can improve their governance. So what I'm going to talk about here is well, I'm really going to tell a story here of our experience in Kolkata and in some of the countries, and what are some of the learnings that we have from there. So some of you who have grown up in Kolkata, like me, must have had the experience of waiting for a bus at the bus stop. Tell me who has not waited for a bus in the bus stop. Not the people who are born after 1990s, because they've only taken Ubers. So one of I think the most agonizing experience has been waiting at the bus and not knowing when the bus is going to come. It is worse than waiting at a grocery store where you know that there is a checkout counter in sight, or at an airport baggage claim, because you know if your baggage doesn't arrive, there is somebody that you can complain to. But that's not for the bus. Either you're late and the bus is gone, or you don't know when it's going to arrive. So when we started working in the city, and we had partnered with Ideal Analytics, one of the things that we thought is that, look, we need to get some basic mobility in place, some predictability in the mobility. So we came up with an app called Pathodisha. Has anybody used that? Good. So what Pathodisha, and it recently won an award, so what Pathodisha has done is that it tells you when is the next bus going to come. So it has brought about predictability in the way people travel. It has also brought about transparency. It has also very interestingly brought about improved road safety. So the trend that we have seen is that drivers are not rushing to a stop like before, because the driver, just like somebody waiting at the stop, can see in the ecosystem that where are the nearby buses. So he's able to slot in the arrival of the bus at the bus stop, which has prevented this mad rush for picking up passengers. So a very, very simple tool has changed the way people are behaving in the city. And very soon, what we are trying to do is, as a next addition to this app, we are going to try and see if we can let people know that you can see a bus coming, but do you know whether there is a seat in the bus? So if you're able to tell people that, look, if the bus is red, that means you can only stand. If it's yellow, you can stand, but there are probably no seats. And if it's green, there are seats. Then simple things. As a woman, I'm always worried about safety. So through crowdsourcing, if people let us know that, hey, look, the bus is coming, it's full, and there's not a single woman in the bus. Do I want to take that bus, or should I take the next one? I know that there are more women. So I think, this is the beauty of how you can use data and very simply help people improve their decisions or make much more, I would say, informed choices. So now let me move to another city where we have been working on. A city, a metropolis like Kolkata or Chennai is Jakarta. So just like Mumbai, Chennai, Kolkata, which are prone to flooding, especially now, and again, you don't know where there has been waterlogging and it disrupts your way of life. Jakarta has done something very interesting. It's a city of 28 million people and extremely congested and very prone to flooding. So what they have done is they have teamed up with Twitter, and they have mapped through citizens' engagement streets where waterlogging happens repeatedly. So as a result, the entire city now has a map of places where there is waterlogging, which has allowed the government to respond very quickly to this problem, and it has, in a very big way, changed again how service can be delivered. Again, solutions which can be very easily developed for Indian cities. Mr. Sen was referring to this. I had just mentioned this, what they're doing in Austin, Texas, in terms of crime mapping. So what Austin has done, it has created a dashboard, something very similar to, I think, what Chandrababu Naidu is also doing. So the dashboard, among other things, is telling them what are the crime hotspots are in the city. So again, through citizen engagement, through crowdsourcing, it has mapped the pattern of crime in the city through zip code. And therefore, through these kind of trends, have been able to respond to, or have been able to predict where the next possible criminal activity can happen. Now, the challenge that I faced, coming to work in Kolkata on a project that we have is, we were looking at interoperability of data and for something similar, and what we found is, while there are, and we were dealing with the police here, and we found that there are separate databases for the police. So there's one for Howrah, there's one for Kolkata. So say I steal a car in Kolkata, and and the Kolkata police has all the information in terms of the car I stole, my details. I go to Howrah, and they have no idea that I have just stolen the car from Kolkata and I have come there, simply because this database, doesn't talk to each other. So interoperability is a big, and not working in silos is something that we sort of really are having very difficult time with across the globe in working with government, because there is a tendency to hold on to the data, while when you can open it up and you can build a whole different ecosystem and develop entrepreneurship and innovation. Now, one other example which is very interesting that I would like to share is, I think with this exploration of data, the question of equity, the question of inclusiveness comes out very often. I mean, it was fascinating, the discussions that I was hearing this morning, but it was all focused for, I think, a certain group of people. I'm not sure that these solutions can be used by all. It's an urban solution of a certain income group. In South Africa, what they have done is, in Cape Town, they have mapped the informal settlement for the entire city. And with that, they have now have a conversation going with the government that why are there so many neighborhoods that lack sanitation? And I think these are the kind of, and that's where I think where we stand, the power of data comes, that how do we help the government improve its governance? And that's where I think using data to shed light on what's happening, not just at a macro level, but at also micro level, is been very helpful. Now, the cities of future are no longer, cities of future. I think they have arrived. It's no longer what we see in Hollywood movies. And Elon Musk, I think, is as much of a hero these days as Tom Cruise. In fact, I think fewer people know of Tom Cruise than Elon Musk. So, and I'm sure very soon, there'll be drones that will be delivering, I don't know, dosas maybe. It's very scary, but I think that's happening. So what are the challenges that we at the bank sort of worry about? So one is the whole urban density. I think by 2050, 2/3 of the world's going to be living in the city. So there's a huge resource issue that we are going to deal with. The second is healthcare, and I know some of the presentation you talked about healthcare, that by 2025, about 9 billion, 5 minutes, okay, about 9 billion people will have, of which 800 million will have healthcare issues. Energy sustainability, another big challenge. Aging population, huge issue. And then, of course, mobility. New York yesterday just slammed down on Uber, saying that for next 1 year, they're not going to give Uber license. And, we knew this was going to happen. It happened in London very recently because, imagine, there are more Ubers running around empty than picking up people. So that's clearly not a mobility solution. It's a supplemental to the public transport. So again, these kind of disruptive technology, how long are they going to be there? Are these trends? What's coming up next are really some of the things that a lot of you here probably know much better than I do. I think in terms of challenges, what we are looking at, and it was very heartening to hear about this, about the initiative that you have taken on data standardization, because that's a big challenge that we are facing. In fact, last week we had a meeting in Delhi with some of the standards groups. So we met with the regulators in the energy sector, in telecom, to really understand that what should be the role of regulators be. And in a federalist state like India, how does a conversation from the national and the state level can take place with the help of regulators? India's future is in the states. So unless, so if there is a national level regulator, the role would be to bring the states into it. So it would be great to have an offline discussion in this, because the issues are, the next generation solutions are coming out of India. So if an healthcare app is developed in India and it's being used in Nigeria, who is the one who manages it, who sets the standards? It's not very clear. So these are, I think, I'm sort of leaving you with more questions than answers, but these are the issues that we need to, I think, collectively need to address. Issues of, it's not just about availability of data, is able to use data responsibly in a more inclusive manners, having standards, and that's where I think government, the private sector, and organizations such as ours can come together. Thank you very much. Just don't ask me any questions on algorithms.
Hi, this is Tuin here. Hello.
Can you speak a little louder, please?
Am I audible now?
Yeah, now you are.
Hello. Hello. Yeah, it's working. So basically, like smart cities are being implemented in India. So how the transport, you're telling that data is insufficient. So is it also insufficient in the smart cities, or it has already been implemented, or the planning is going on? You have any idea? Like, it's a layman view.
So I think smart cities in India is still hasn't happened. Um, so, and I think it's a misnomer in some sense. You need to provide good transportation, whether a city is smart or not. And India is still, I would say, there's some cities who have done very well on that, but it's still in the works. So if you are asking me that are there any specific kind of mobility solution for smart cities, I don't think so, because mobility solution should be for all cities. And that's the reason I gave the example of this, the one that has been developed in Kolkata for Pathadisha, for buses. I mean, buses are the lowest common denominator. Everybody uses it. So if there is a good bus system in place, which is safe, which is clean, which is comfortable, why should I be driving? So to me, that is what a smart city is all about, to be able to give access, good access, and being and available to all. Yeah. Yes, you are.
Because you are from a World Bank, that's why I'm asking. When you were talking about when you were talking about like transportation, for example, I think what kind of policy initiatives are World Bank taking for the integration of transportation with other aspects? For example, transportation nowadays is inherently should be integrated with something like environmental policy, right?
Yeah.
Pollution. And then for countries like India, particularly in our cities, when you talk about alternative modes of transport, for example, you see auto rickshaws and Uber. So there is also a social aspect to that, socio-economic development of a certain strata of people. So when, as a policymaker, I mean, what are the steps you have, or what are the measures that you have that kind of integrates transportation, for example, with other domains?
So a number of different ways we are doing it. So we have two kind of programs we deal with. One is a lending program where we lend to countries, and as a part of that, we very often would only get into a sector when there is a comprehensive solution. So for instance, for transport, one of the things that we are looking into is coming up with multimodal solutions. So for instance, smart card. So with the help of a smart card now, you can seamlessly go across different modes. So the whole idea is that transport should not be looked upon as auto rickshaw, cycle, buses. It's a system, and you should be able to go, which gives you end-to-end access, and you should be able to go seamlessly from one to the other. So one area where we are working, in fact, with Transport for London, in fact, we are working with Transport for London in Kolkata, because they're probably one of the cities which has been made huge improvement in public transport, is on integration of smart cards. So how do we bring the whole fleet from buses to ferries, etc., to come in? The another very interesting thing that hasn't started, but we are working on it, is on air pollution. So we are very soon going to work on a project where you'll get real-time air pollution data for Kolkata. So for instance, so that would allow you as a user of the city to decide that, look, if I want to go to Chorongi at 4 in the evening, if PM is 600, do I go now or do I go later? So we are working with a startup in Berkeley, and with ideation, where we are going to have sort of low-cost sensor-driven instruments across the city, which will map out the airports. Sort of like, so some of you who are familiar with Waze, so it's going to be like, what I have in mind is to develop a Waze for pollution, which will then allow you to, the policymakers can then decide, look, if PM is if repeatedly we see a pattern that from 4 to 6, PM is very high on a certain corridor, do we then push more buses there? Do we then restrict cars there? So that's where we want to move it. And then I, in terms of my interaction with the built environment, can decide when and how do I need to come into the city. So there are, these kind of data-driven solutions we are trying to work with cities And Kolkata is obviously one of the places where we have been able to have quite an impact.
For the rest of the questions, you can take them offline.
Thank you.
I'd like to call upon Mr. Umang Oberoi, Director and Head Business Analytics, Great West Global, to hand over the felicitation to Ms. Rakhi Basu, Transport Specialist, World Bank. Round of applause, please. Thank you so much.